healing hands of time. Soon they'll be dismissing you from this heart of mine. And already I've seen mountain peaks, and I've just begun to climb. And the country will get through with those healing hands of time.
Wow, John, I'm so thankful. And now relax. You are such a great artist, and we're so lucky to have you, Johnny. Thank you very much for that intro. We have a great show today, and welcome everybody. Folks will start joining here, and we'll try to keep it within an hour, but if we go a little over, no big deal. And I'm just very thankful today. I have to really break the news to you all that it is 80 degrees in Austin. So, Llewelyn, how is East Texas doing?
Well, East Texas, also known as Rhode Island, is doing quite well, but today it is cold and somewhat overcast, and frankly, it is not 80 degrees, but it's quite livable. We've had snow, not very much around here, a dusting here, further upstate, quite a bit of snow, and into Massachusetts and up north, a lot of snow, which I guess the skiing is better here than it is in Texas.
Thank you. John, how are you today?
I'm fine. It's sunny and great in the great city of Austin, Texas. It's very interesting to look at the change from the virus to, hey, maybe we have a cure now. But it's a lovely day, and watching the political stuff and looking outside and seeing the wonderful, wonderful sunshine in December, my gosh. So these are the days as to why we live in Austin, Texas.
Absolutely. Winter in Texas is fabulous. It's just such a great thing. And we have a fantastic guest speaker today. Her name is Helen Ramirez. And let me just say hello to her first. Helen, how are you today?
Doing great. Waiting for SpaceX launch that's supposed to be coming up. Starship was aborted. Launch was yesterday. So we're still hoping. Our fire chief says around 2:30, maybe. So maybe during this call, they'll have some successful news, but awaiting that, and on this beautiful day in Brownsville, Texas.
Yeah, and Brownsville, Texas is, when it comes to weather, they really geographically are so blessed. They have perfect weather like San Diego in Miami. I mean, it's 70 degrees most of the time, just amazing weather. I've been there recently, and I'm so impressed with the city, how beautiful it looks, and thriving. You can feel energy, things are happening. It's kind of very exciting. But let me tell you all about Helen Ramirez. She's the Deputy City Manager of Brownsville, Texas. It's in the know. Brownsville, Texas nickname is BTX, as in boy TX. It's a city with perfect climate conditions in a unique geographic location with significant land mass, waterways, and international access and proximity. It's really right next to Mexico, and a gateway into Latin America. And happy to tell you that NASA and SpaceX are new neighbors to the region. So a lot of stuff going on. Can't wait to hear more on all those things. Prior to Brownsville, Helen was the Assistant City Manager of Hutto, Executive Director of Business Development of Hutto, Director of the Services of Hutto, Senior Urban Planning International Business Development Leader at Chronicle, Senior Planner of City of Hawthorne in California, where SpaceX has a headquarters, and I think Tesla also has headquarters there. Planning and Liaison Specialist in LA County Community Development Commission, and Curious as an Associate Planner of City of La Habra, or Habra, however you want to say it. I'm Latin, but Habra, as in open. I love that, La Habra. Helen received a BS in City and Regional Planning and Land Use Planning and Management and Development from Cal Poly in San Luis Obispo, or how it should be known formerly, California Polytech State University. And she has also attended and received some postgraduate certificates from UCLA. So Helen, we're delighted to have you. We're looking forward to your insights and wisdom.
Happy to be here and excited to be part of the conversation.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you all probably have been keeping track of what's happening, and I have, mixed news still. We do have, a vaccine and all kinds of plans of distributing that vaccine. We understand that folks in the UK are getting vaccinated already. The first vaccination was for elderly lady, and apparently that seems to be the plan in the UK. I'm not sure what the plan is in the different 50 states that we have. Obviously, as you all know, all those things are state driven by the governors and their health authorities and so on, and then into the cities and counties. COVID-19 death toll continues to rise. It's 282,785 as of 10 a.m. this morning. It's up significantly from last week, 15,000. It's been growing at about 8,000 pace, but now with the winter, it's almost doubling up. So this is something to be very thoughtful and about. Washing your hands, keep wearing a mask. If you don't have a great looking mask, you should get a great looking mask. I have this collection of masks now. Oops, I'm gonna reach out here and ruin the video, but I got my Texas mask. There you go. And let's see, all cases in the US are up to 14.8 million, up from last week, 1.3 million. So again, things are not very good in terms of the trends, so we need to be super careful. At the same time, though, and similarly, lots of stuff going on. So a company called C3 on artificial intelligence went public yesterday, and Tom Siebel has scored another $1 billion company. Is worth $4 billion through IPO. Today, DoorDash and Airbnb went public. Those are gig economy companies, and apparently they've done really well. Their stock market is above 30,000 now, up from last week. New York, the stock exchange index is up 70 points to 14,400 plus. NASDAQ is up some 220 points at 12,500 plus. And the S&P index is up to 3693, up another 40 points. So again, the stock market is really always betting in the future and what's coming, what things are looking like a year from now and so on. So everything seems to be looming into a much better recovery and lots of positiveness in terms of the economy and jobs creation starting to, rev up, clearly still slowly, but revving up in the right direction. Oil crude prices have gone up $1.49 from last week, which is good for the companies in the US. And the price of gas has gone up 15 cents to $1.64 in the Austin region. So it's still $1.64 per gallon, which makes driving fantastic. So based on that, you all, and what are your takes? Llewelyn, let's go with you. Where are we? Where are things? Are you feeling better about the vaccine and what's happening?
I feel better about the vaccine, but less so about the immediate future.
Mm-hmm.
On the hospitals, the appalling increase in the number of fatalities, the folly of people who will not take simple precautions like wearing masks and washing their hands is total idiocy. It endangers everyone, and it has made the pandemic worse than it needed to be. About the vaccine, I'm surprisingly optimistic. I think we'll do better at distributing it than we might have expected. I just have a feeling that this is going to be catastrophes predicted. I think part of that is that people are going to be hesitant, some people, quite a lot of them, to get it immediately, so they'll be more orderly. And that's, in the end, a good thing. The worry is that by the end of this, not enough people will have gotten the vaccine. You have to have 2 shots, and that means spaced 3 weeks apart. That means you have a little tendency to get one and say it's enough, which it is not. It will help, but it is not enough. Predictions about how many people will get the vaccine vary between 50 and 70%. 50% is really going to be a huge problem. If only half the people get the vaccine, the pandemic will be with us in some reduced form, but with us for a long time to come. A lot depends on the ability of people to overcome their mistrust of government, the disinformation they have gotten out of Washington and other sources, and to believe the experts about this. On this one, the experts are right. We have no choice but to be inoculated and to hope for a sunlit upland as a consequence. Long term, I think there's been huge innovation, there'll be more innovation. I'm not so interested or convinced of the statistics about a turnaround in the economy. I think it will deteriorate again in the winter and will improve dramatically as we see a drop in infections in the spring. So overall, I'm optimistic, but I think to get across this immediate winter causeway is going to be very difficult indeed, and we shouldn't assume that because some people are getting vaccinated that we're there. Or the stock market, which has been a reliably unrepresentative indicator of the commercial health of the country throughout this trying period.
John?
It's interesting to see how the discussion in the public square is moving away from just counting the number of infections that we have to what are the unintended consequences in the future. That is, we know little about the long-term effects of this virus. I found it quite interesting for the CDC to come out, I guess it was yesterday, and just take the sporting world. And it said that if your kid played high school football or college football or volleyball or basketball or whatever sport, and if they indeed had the virus, make sure that you get a complete medical check before you go back and play. And what that means to me is lawsuits in the future. I think it'll be just like the concussions in football, where there will be class action lawsuits. So I see what's happening in the future is that the virus and its effects will be here for quite some time. I think it would fill the courts. I think that the unintended consequences would be that people would die in the future and was killed by the virus, years ago. So as we get out of this pandemic, then we look at what we call the unintended consequences. And so we run very, very fast, and we're very, very elated about the virus, but we also know that there are unintended consequences for the future. I think the economy itself will bounce back. I think it will come rolling back as measured by hotels, as measured by airplanes, or the ability for people to move around. So I haven't been to Brownsville. I look forward to going to Brownsville. That's one of my great destinations now. So I think the economy will bounce back. I think the gig economy, what we learned, I think we need to take some stimulus money and put a fund up for the big gig economy so that people who have contact with people when they work, if this happens again, then we could have a different kind of situation. So I'm optimistic about the future. I'm optimistic in a way that the unintended consequences are there, but I'm happy that the rattlesnake is out of the house. The question is, what did the rattlesnake leave behind?
Yeah. Helen, what does this all mean to Brownsville, and what's your take? You are, lived in multiple states in the union, have friends everywhere. What's your take on where we are at?
Well, I would start with Brownsville. We still have had overall general 2% increase in sales tax. Our hotel occupancy tax is down, but overall compared to last year, it's up. It was very strong, increasing 10%, January, February. March, we started seeing a little bit, 5% increase, but we're still up overall, I would say. Cautiously optimistic. We have in order to look at our resiliency, we are looking at a 5-year budgetary forecast process. And with that, brought in experts in the hotel industry, talked to CBRE. We've just brought in important experts to see, in other downturns, how should we be gearing up for the future as the city. We had already restructured our debt portfolio last year, so we were kind of ahead of the game in terms of financial resiliency. So we were able to approve a capital improvement program, which we're still implementing. Lots of times those are the first things or some of the first things that are cut in cities. But I think we had been enough fiscally conservative in the past whereby we haven't been too affected. Of course, we all are. Our downtown, we took measures that quickly supported our downtown by not requiring any, having free downtown parking, installing temporary drive-through areas in downtown, designated zones, work with our small business. Our Chamber of Commerce made over 7,000 calls to different businesses. So we've been really, between our economic development corporations, our Chamber of Commerce and cities, had 2 weekly calls to this day, a week, beginning in March. I can't believe, the other day I was thinking, I can't believe it's going to be a year coming up in a couple of months from when we really started hunkering down and working remote. And I don't know if people really reflected upon that, how our lifestyle has changed. My kids are still in remote school. And, part of the reason why our schools are still have some flexibility is that some students' parents really can't assist them with remote learning. So they're on campus, but half of them can. And so interesting, when a community comes together, the half of the people that are not that have remote learning are assisting those that cannot, sustain that at home, which allows for more social distancing in the schools. So I think as a community, we've really come together, and I really appreciate what everybody's done in Brownsville. And we have the benefit of having our own health department, which is very rare for a city. Usually, sometimes you do see it. We're 180,000 population, almost 200. But what I feel for the smaller cities that probably don't have their own health department, it's the local health departments and the county health departments that are really taking this on a local level and dealing with measures and the resiliency and the forward thinking. We were the first city in Texas to have a free COVID-19 test site created for the uninsured. And that's, it wasn't the county, it was the city. Not to say that the county wasn't there every step of the way supporting us, but the city of Brownsville did that. And it spoke to the fact that we really wanted to see our community and our most vulnerable not spread the virus, right? And so we assisted in that way. But I have family in Spain that has gone through this virus. We're kind of warning us beforehand. Are really paying attention to that. Having Dr. Gowan, she's a gynecologist on the city commission, has also been a great resource. We have a great relationship with the UT School of Public Health. They have a campus in Brownsville, right next to our UTRGV offices. So it's been a great collaboration as well. So we're doing some really cool indexes and hotspots, and we're studying where those cases are in our city. Thank you.
Very interesting, very interesting. So real quick on kind of the smart city stuff that is going on. We always keep track of the week-to-week changes, and Syncom Lighting is inked a deal in the UK to do a smart city lighting, and I don't know if you all know, the Amazon has a division called Sidewalk, and it's their smart city division. They have been, you know, not quiet, but not very visible. They haven't won any major deals, but Amazon is getting into the smart city game. I find that fascinating. That's all you need to know about a few cities if Amazon is getting into it. Orange, a carrier in the UK, is launching, or they're in Europe, headquartered in the UK, but selling services all over Europe, is building 15 French municipalities 5G infrastructure in this month of December. So, I have to tell you, I bought my 5G Apple phone, my iPhone, got me a 5G iPhone. That's me and my wife. That's my background thing. And you know, I was gonna put Texas strong flag on it, but I just settled for the U.S. flag. So shopping. Let's see, shopping to shelter, abandoned mall sites in Seattle and New York City, welcoming senior housing. Curious to see if anything like that is going on in Brownsville, repurposing office space into living space. Lots of stuff going on in smart cities. You know, California regulators have approved recently fare-based autonomous vehicle services. And Austin is tapping its waterways to address racial equity. So Helen, what are some of the things that COVID have accelerated or make you do differently? What do you see some things that COVID has been impacting around the transformation that you guys are planning with all things?
Well, in terms of being able to assist with transactions in government, that e-commerce, right? So not having to come to the city. We did close some of our development services for a while. But we pivoted by creating drive-through or also digital plan review. Our building inspectors performed even inspections over the phone, so virtually. And so pivoting in that way, because we still have homes being built. Our home price has increased over 16% in this past year. So we are seeing stronger home sales and price point, probably some of the strongest in the valley, in the Rio Grande Valley. So that's what we've, not only as an organization, the new technology that we're buying, and hiring a smart city consultant to be able to really look at our 6 pain points. What are our next projects coming online? I would say, we're still going through that process, but one of the things we're talking about is our mobility plan. It's something that we funded. It's a multimodal plan, and Uber's taking a hit. Our transit is still available due to COVID. What we did is reduce the capacity on that from 32 passenger to 16. Historically, we've had 1 million people ride a year. B Metro is very successful. What they did was they, in order to accommodate around, certain routes and people getting to work, especially, many of our first line workers, hospital workers, are service oriented grocers. They needed to go to work. And what we did was we added flex lines, transit lines to assist those workers with getting to work. So those are one of the first things that we did. Is we understand we have to reduce our capacity to half of our buses, but how do we flex our routes so that we're still being able to meet the demand of our workers? So, from B Metro to development services and government review and how we do that, to the way we look at our budget. So, the 5-year forecast, and really looking beyond 5 years. I mean, in our smart city plan or digital BTX plan that we've launched, we're looking at 7 generations. What do we need to do now to look at, 70 years from now, where do we want to be? And, one of the things that we're going to celebrate this year in a very socially distanced manner is this Friday, we have our soft opening of our new $91,070 million airport terminal, and has some of the state of the art that we had to actually contactless. We had to actually pivot in the design and some of those things to support contactless payment, contact touchless, entry and exit. And so we've been able to pivot and be agile due to COVID.
Fascinating. Gentlemen, any for Helen?
I have a question, Helen, and I'm wondering, long term, do you see the shape of the city changing as a result of the virus? For example, people buying more individual homes, which is now a nationwide phenomenon. House prices are up everywhere. Does that mean there'll be less demand for in-city living, less demand for apartments? And will you have a glut of office space when things have settled down and more people have become accustomed to working remotely? Is that a concern? It's a fairly small city, so I would think it could be absorbed, but I wonder about that. I also wonder about the intensity with which the virus has hit Brownsville, and whether being so close to the border is a factor.
Well, to begin with, thank you for the question. We have much of our tax rate or property tax rate is very residential intensive. So I would say that we lack office space and commercial retail space. We're kind of overly balanced on the residential and less. So in terms of land use, we actually are working right now to revitalize our downtown. So we'll have more office because there is a need, or at least what we're seeing success is in the work pub or the shared office use. Even despite COVID, people still need to congregate somehow, or maybe they want to escape from home and have a shared space. So we're seeing that market still strong in the city. And like I said, because our economy is very residential based, it hasn't really affected us negatively. In terms of adaptive reuse, I really like that. We have a mall that has an abandoned Sears building, right? That's 100,000 square feet Sears. And we had an abandoned Kmart that had been abandoned since 2016. The Kmart has been is being occupied by a national retail, Hobby Lobby, and the developer and owners out of Los Angeles, California. So they're project managing the project from California with a great contractor here, in a local Brownsville contractor. And the Sears building is an equity firm out of Dallas who purchased the building and is going to make already leased over 55,000 square feet of the building, is rehabbing it. So interesting, we're seeing the rehab of those buildings now during COVID, despite. Now, I'll tell you one thing, those agreements would have been signed, leases would have been signed in March. So there has been a lag in the Hobby Lobby, probably a 4-month lag. In the Sears, we're gonna make an announcement, still confidential, but I hope by the first quarter of next year, we expect January, we'll be able to announce the new national tenant there. It's pretty much 99.9% done, but to respect that 0.01% of once you sign, but we're still adaptively reusing that space. And then our tech college, TSC, is actually rehabbed an old Amigo Land mall to do advanced manufacturing, welding, and other tech and cybersecurity courses there. So it's this great space that they've been able to rehab and refurbish, and not only lease out, also to manufacturing. So they have actually become an employer by leasing space out, and also a tech college expanded their tech college footprint. So, and then finally, with regard to COVID, we have been able to contain our numbers. We have weekly calls with we have 2 hospitals, Valley Baptist and Valley Regional here. We have calls with their CEO administrators twice a week, and we've had them since March We have a wonderful Mayor Mendez has had a great relationship with our hospitals and some of our major clinics as well, so that we've been able to really contain it. I mean, I think we were doing really good when the occupancy levels were lower. There was a spike during the 4th of July area, and now we saw a recent decline. And then right now, if you look at our numbers compared to Hidalgo or other counties, you're going to see that our curve is flat. So the flattening of the curve is where we're at right now. And the fact that we created with Dr. McCormick at the School of Public Health a vulnerability index where we're identifying hotspots in the city neighborhoods. And then what we did was we did a boots on the ground initiative with our health department that would go out and educate. They were knocking on doors, safely distanced, and educating where we identified that there was hotspots with positive COVID, confidentially, because you have to comply with HIPAA, of course, but just educational, and we did that. And it's proven to be effective, knock on wood, so far, but it's the constant communication, the agility, and then also on a research part, working with a great School of Public Health to really map out and forecast possible hotspots.
John?
Thank you.
Helen, I was wondering, Texas Monthly about 7 months ago had an article on how the wealth was leaving cities and moving to small towns. And I think that Brownsville will certainly benefit from that. And so I want to ask this question. Do you notice, in addition to the people who are in the paper, have you noticed any entrepreneurs actually moving to Brownsville? And also, have you thought about, as you become a smart city, all of the business models and the opportunities that being a smart city will bring? That is everything from not just the date itself, but the ability to plan things, whether it's the airport that you just moved into. And let me say that my favorite airport in Brownsville is where the woman pilot landed and left, which was your major airport. Yeah. So my question is, do you see any entrepreneurs moving there? And how do you think the smart city concept will impact on the ability for entrepreneurs to move there, create companies, and continue your economy?
Great question. Yes, I do see entrepreneurs moving here. They are. We, in November, I don't know if you've seen our announcement with Space Ventures creating a fintech company on space, specifically honed in on space, and allowing investors to actually invest in that field without having to be, pre-seed companies and pre-seed money being available. Well, they're hiring data scientists here. They're moving here. Their headquarters, they're in Florida, but they are here as well. But, Elon Musk is here. He's in Austin. He's in Texas. He's an example of why people want to come to Texas because we are business friendly. In Brownsville, we announced a 1,300-acre master plan community that will be planning. The home price points will be between 350,000 to 2 million plus homes in that area. It's between South Padre Island and the city of Brownsville within our city limits across from Rancho Viejo. So we're creating master plan communities for executive and CEO housing. We have our proximity to the beach, which is the best beaches in Texas, supports that. But also our business friendly attitude. We have a developer meet and greet tomorrow. But, I think that's one is the friendliness of it, the fact that we're doing a broadband feasibility study. We were discussing it on Tuesday's city commission meeting with, there is a digital divide in the city, right? And a company needs fiber, needs predictability and being able to connect, right, with remote. So we're looking at rings of fiber throughout the city, which supports our smart cities initiative. So the seamless transportation system that we think by our airport, through transit, through electric and autonomous vehicles. We're very open. That's one of the big things our mobility will be reviewing is EV, the innovation that SpaceX will have, or Tesla, they're opening up a small manufacturing area, small center kind of here in Brownsville as well, to support their operations here. So we're already seeing some of that already here. Now, I think the fact that we revamped our code, we just adopted a new development code to make it seamless and streamlined. And now we finished an RFQ for a new permitting development software system. So that's very important in terms of, can I see in real time who visited my permit on my building? So, do I have predictability when I build in Brownsville and, in the historic downtown or in the edge of the city? So I think, the data is going to be there in terms of available buildings, the mobility plan, our broadband initiative, all those are pain points that we've had for many years that we're really solving for now. And that takes investment from the city and public-private partnerships.
Yeah, excellent, excellent. Let me take a break real quick, as I usually do, to remind our viewers of our Digital 360 Summit. Let's see if I get to share my screen here. Here we go. Here we go. Let's see. I think it's this one. Things are slow today for some reason, even though it's 80 degrees outside. Should be nice and fluid. Here comes my screen. Hopefully you'll get to see that in a moment. And so, we had our 2020 Digital 360 Summit virtually this year. And thank goodness all of you were part of that. And want to thank you for that again. We had a phenomenal number of companies, including you all and your companies. And we're looking for a similar event this year. In 2021, I'm sorry. It's going to be May 18th, 19th, and 20th. It will be 3 days live, face-to-face, with all the COVID restrictions and protocols available by then. It would be a similar format in terms of the verticals. And we're, anticipating around 900 to 1,000 folks attending. So, and then I want to thank Texas State University for sponsoring the Digital-Roundtable that we have. Clearly, Helen, the economy is moving. Entrepreneurs in the creativity of either sustainability or survival, the Latin spirit, if you will. People are trying to figure out how to make ends meet, and the life doesn't stop kind of thing. People are resilient and survivors, and clearly one of the things that I think is interesting for us to learn more about Brownsville is that Brownsville is not really just Brownsville, but it's really more of a regional southern cone of Texas, right? And so tell us a little bit about, from your broadband project and your transportation, what are you all envisioning? Because on the Mexico side, there's a lot of energy and exchange and population, and that gateway, sort of the gateway to Texas from the south, is through you guys in many ways. What can you share and what you see happening in terms of job creation, push forward 5-10 years from now?
What's happening now, Andre, if you take Matamoros, Mexico's population, together we're over about 1.2 million population. Our mayor and the mayor of Matamoros do speak to one another every couple of weeks to see how our economy is going. What I can tell you is with the onshoring of manufacturing, we can see it and feel it now. We have companies that have moved some of their operations from Matamoros to Brownsville, or actually really expanded, I would say, on those operations, moving operations out of China, choosing to manufacture here, and also looking at more consolidation of some of their operations, even from New York, offshoring and basically onshoring. We're seeing it happen now. Companies are pivoting right now because of those pain points. And so we stand to really reap those benefits. One of the major projects that was approved by the Texas Transportation Commission was our East Loop project. It's a $100 million project, and it really connects the International Bridge with the city of Brownsville and the Port of Brownsville. As you know, the Port of Brownsville is the largest publicly owned port in the nation with 40,000 acres, and doesn't really have the congestion that you see in Corpus Christi or other Houston. It really is still an untapped or developing market. And so these projects really allow for a seamless connectivity, which is, the US, Mexico, Canada agreement. It'll allow for seamless operations between the manufacturing in Mexico, what we have here, the need to increase manufacturing. Right now, the airport's unique because our airport has FAA land that we lease to manufacturers. And right now we're tapped out. There is no more logistical buildings available. And so we're actually have finally a new spec building coming up, and the city with its EDC partners looking at building another 100 to 500,000 square foot park, maybe even space hub at our airport, because we're looking for spaceport designation. That's one of the things that, in terms of smart technology and smart city, when we talk about mobility, we're actually looking at air, water, rail, sea, and space. So it's 5 ports of entry to Brownsville, if you really want to think in a greater kind of visionary fashion. So I think that's where we become it's unique to where we are. And I believe the broadband initiative, the Port of Brownsville was a partner, and that is a partner in that initiative. Not only our universities, which is UTRGV, TSC, but Brownsville ISD, the Port of Brownsville, and our 2 economic development corporations are all form part of that broadband initiative. So it's important that it's just not led by the city. Yes, we're the ones that brought everybody together, but this is our plan. And the fact that we have the Brownsville Public Utilities Board, the city-owned electric, is going to allow us to get there faster, right? So we're not encountering resistance. Mm-hmm. It's a collaboration, and that's what will accelerate, right? Smart city, it's an acceleration of the innovation and the way to solve your pain points. We're going to be able to solve many pain points through these different initiatives that are all based on digital BTX, which is our smart city roadmap.
Well said. Llewelyn, John?
I have a question, and that is, you're moving towards some goal in smart city. Are there benchmarks? Are you hoping to have certain things in place by certain dates? And what is your definition of a smart city, and what are the benchmarks on the way to it?
I mean, for me, my definition is, what I consider a smart city is when there's a seamless connectivity in the city, where it's easy for me to either buy commerce or buy data, open a business, take transportation. It is efficient, and it solves many of our problems that we're solving for problems and making it easier and more seamless to do business in the city. Whether I'm a resident, where I'm a property owner, a business owner, that we're all feeling the positive impact of that. And I also see it as a way of resiliency and economic development on a longer term basis, where we're resilient. We look at energy, there's a real resiliency. with solar, with our power grid, and we're really looking at our city's resiliency for the many generations to come. If you're not solving for that, I think it's being short-sighted. With regard to we're right now initiating kind of our own roadmap. So I would say we don't have that established now. Right now, we're identifying our 6 main projects that we'd like to see rolled out within the next couple of years. And so what I would hope to is when we conclude that process, come back and tell you about what we've identified as an organization and kind of where we want to see ourselves in the next 5 to 10 years.
Helen, you've mentioned broadband several times. Could you just tell us quickly where you stand with broadband, how it is being dispersed in the city?
Well, the problem we're probably one of the cities that have the greatest digital divide in the nation. And so what we feel that even though you talk to Spectrum, you talk to Verizon, and they feel that they've served the community, I would say that is not the case, that we have large gaps in service levels. They're really serving mostly the new fibers is placed when a business needs it, when there's a new community being built. But what about our built environment? What about what we have built now? And all the problems that our schools are facing right now with connectivity that is exacerbated by COVID. I just experienced that today with my child's school, who, they couldn't have math. I mean, I was teaching them the math today because of the connectivity issues. And, I have a backup and a Wi-Fi. I have so many backups, and, just to ensure that I'm able to do business. But our schools, they really need to be, have that resiliency there. And so we're saying that if the marketplace cannot solve that quick enough, that we're going to step up to do that and come up with different ways to finance it and get it done. Now, we would want them for the last mile to be part of that. We're not saying that we would not want or enter into any public-private partnerships, but what we consider, the last mile, they can assist us with that, but maybe we need to put in the infrastructure for the main hard wire as we hardwired the city, and then they maybe can come in at the last end and then help us with specific neighborhoods or residential establishments or commercial establishments. So,
thank you,
Helen. I'm sorry, Llewelyn, are you finished?
No, I'm finished. Thank you very much.
Helen, some years back, NASA announced that it was moving to Brownsville in terms of its launch pad because of the excellent weather there, and it's one of the best places in the country to launch satellites. So no longer would it be Houston we have a problem, it would be Brownsville we have a problem. What would be the impact of, what has been the impact on NASA's move to Brownsville, which I think is a secret, so to speak, in Texas and also on the national level? I have given talks and I've mentioned Brownsville, and I can pull it up on the internet, big headlines, NASA moves to Brownsville. So what do you think would be the impact on that move, on the schools, on the culture of the community, as you bring all kind of innovations to that community?
Well, we are working on a pretty big company deal right now. It's called Project Sky. We are, if this company, which is a private company, moves, it'll only consolidate, and it'll consolidate NASA being present here, but also the commercial space, which is the private industry, move here. So we're already seeing, whether it's a small startup, fintech startup such as Space Ventures, or if it's a larger company that we're looking at right now, which would do some other type of launch, for example, launching here in Brownsville. The fact that we're already going through the spaceport feasibility study, we're already, pulling the trigger on the license of our airport into spaceport. So it'll be an air and spaceport. NASA's support of what we're doing. We have the nonprofit Expanding Frontiers here. So, we're seeing already the effects of the schools. The schools here, their admissions has gone up. 20-30%. We're seeing other schools have looking at admission centers here from other universities in Brownsville. So we're seeing the impact on the education, the impact on the community in terms of even our children's museum wanting to create some sort of space related kind of area or interactive area. You think of the Thinkery in Austin that's very innovative. Well, we would have a space theme that. So those are the types of things the city and the universities have really much embraced it. The company that we're looking at, jobs would pay between $80,000 and $100,000. SpaceX has actively looking for people. We're constantly talking even to their human resources people. Do you know anyone? How can we be of assistance? Because they have always hundreds of active job openings. Many of our small businesses have benefited from SpaceX being here. Thousands of meals are prepared by Brownsville's restaurateurs and taken to the South Launch site. And actually, they're really not planning a resort to be built there. They're planning some sort of campus, right? It's not when SpaceX identified kind of a resort management position, it's really a campus environment, an office environment for their employees. They're living on the island, they're living in Brownsville. I hear, hey, I just rented this space, they bought this house. So we're already seeing a lot of aerospace people, data scientists, either come back, have left. So we've experienced the brain drain, and now they're really coming back and they're saying, I don't have to leave. I mean, I can go to Texas A&M, I can go to UT Austin, I can go, and then I can go to Columbia. I have a student that's at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo. She's coming back. She's already done an internship here. We participated in the Home to Texas program with UT Austin. So they're coming back. I think they're realizing is that I don't have to go anywhere. I can have a job here, a great paying job in this, the two companies that graduates in engineering and data scientists, where the top two companies they want to work for? Tesla #1 and SpaceX #2.
Mhm.
And they're both in Texas, and they're both in Austin, and they're both in Brownsville, and then they're in Austin with the Gigafactory. That's important. So it's not only our own, which we don't want them to leave. We want them to be able to have jobs here. Other incredible students and grad students and researchers from all of Texas, but even from our nation. I think we're becoming a draw, not only from the state, but from nationwide.
Yeah. Helen, real quick, when you think about all the things that are going on and you guys are busy, there's a lot going on. Is there something that Brownsville will be known for? Clearly the space capital for Latin America and all kinds of new things, digital cities and all that. But is there something that Brownsville is going to be known for that perhaps COVID has made happen? Anything that you can think of, maybe biotechnology or other thing? Is there anything out there that nobody would think Brownsville could do it, that where Brownsville maybe 5-10 years from now will be in the map on that?
Well, I think, Houston is known for Johnson Space Center, and I think we're going to be known for, we're not Florida, I get it, but I think it's when we think of Brownsville as on the border by the sea and beyond, we're actually innovators. One thing that when I was talking to the CEO of a major space development company this morning, she was saying that our thinking, we don't think, our thinking is expanded. We're very much visionaries, and we're very much international visionaries because of our proximity to the border. We think it's a positive thing. So in terms of commercial space development and supporting commercial space, but also, taking broadband in our own hands and saying, accelerating it, beyond what the market will bring to us, accelerating the market and really breaking the mold and saying that we want to accelerate and transform now, not 5 years from now or 10 years from now. We're making structural changes now to be able to do that.
Right.
Helen, I want you to know that we, in about 1976, George Kosmeski sit at the top of the building at McCombs School of Business and planned Austin, and it looks just like it looked when he planned it. So planning is always important.
Right. Any, you know, we have said, guys, over and over that COVID is, you know, it's being, you know, bad news in many fronts, but also like, you know, with nature, a catalyst of uniting themes and purposes. And so we're hearing here a story of resiliency and success, and, you know, they're doing all the right things to combat that enemy of COVID, but they forward, not looking back. I'm pretty excited about, you know, being in Texas, and obviously, you know, Llewelyn is too in East Texas or Rhode Island, however you want to call it. And honestly, Helen, you know, we want to thank you for being with us today, and thank you for all the things that you guys are doing. I mean, you know, it's really fascinating to hear the pivoting and the changes that you guys are making on the fly every day to accommodate to things. I know that one of the most interesting things about all that is the new business models, and John is always preaching about new business models. We're actually finishing a white paper on smart cities. John, anything you want to add to that thought process?
I think so. One of the things, cities have always been the center of things, and people are moving to cities. And I think what's exciting with the new technologies or the expanded technologies such as 5G is the ability to create a whole new set of opportunities for people. We need visionaries when it comes to smart cities. So we talk about the business models. So we know that we have the technologies there, but as Llewelyn would say, what would people do? What would the paycheck look like? Andreas have this great concept about the use of data and the poor, and to what extent can we take their data that they have on their devices and monitor and you know, and commercialize that. So I think that we are in an exciting technology, more importantly, business model development. You know, I like to ask a question. You have all of the technology in the world. The question is, how do you transfer that to the business world? So I think with everything from smart red lights to smart telephone poles to smart houses, and all of the data that will be presented for the medical profession, for the insurance profession, for the transportation, I think that we are right on the peak there of creating all kinds of great opportunities that people can never perceive of right now in our time and space. It's going to be very exciting. But we need the same kind of visionaries with smart cities that we had with the automobile, that you know we had with the airplane.
Right.
I would endorse that 100%. I think that's quite right. It is a very exciting time. I think the trick, though, is going to be make sure that all the people participate, that we don't have a bifurcated society in which the literate and the articulate and the numerate get the spoils and others are left out. And there's a danger of that, of becoming two nations.
That's a great
fat and sophisticated nation and a poor, sad, struggling, mean nation.
Yeah, that's a great point, and I know that Helen brought it up earlier. But Helen, last thoughts on training workforce, on bringing the educational system in the region together, community colleges, K through 12, higher ed. You know, tell us a little bit about that, and how do you see helping the sort of older than Gen Xers and Gen Ys to transform and take advantage of the digital world that you're going to build?
Well, I believe it is the thinking. Llewelyn's right. I mean, we represent a lot of diversity. You know, our majority of our population is Latino, so we are very aware that if we do not, we have to. You know, it's like the city manager was talking about, is we have to catch up and accelerate at the same time. catch up and accelerate. And so we challenge our directors, which really we have enterprise funds. So we have 22 departments. We consider we have 22 businesses with different business models in the city. We have a landfill that is a moneymaker, a revenue generator, an electric company that's like that, parks that isn't as much. But how can we challenge every director to their thinking? What is your business plan behind that proposal, that innovative tool? What's the why? What's the pain point? So I think it's the thinking, and that thinking really, it's like a tentacle, right? It spreads to our ISDs and it spreads to our universities, and we see where we're collaborating. We challenge them and they challenge us to be better. So, improving the community is not only installing better technology, but how do they use it, right? And how do you monetize it? And what are the future, what are the future employees that are going to kind of be left out, and how do they transform their learning so that they can become resilient and they'll have jobs in 5 to 10 years. We talk about truck drivers, or we talk about certain businesses that, you see that advanced manufacturing at the Amazon plants. It's like, even those types of jobs are going to go away. It's already quickly upon us. And how do we reinsert these, our population into the labor force?
Right.
And so we did that. We funded, and the city funded many of the courses, e-commerce, business plans, free for small businesses through the UTRGV Center for Entrepreneurialization. That's one of the first things we did, free, take the course. Some businesses were still just taking cash only. I mean, talk about a transformation and saying, if you want to save your business, we'll give you the tools to do it, but you got to do now. We'll even pay for it to get you there. And so that's, which is what the nice thing is, that we have a great community. We have a lot of collaboration. It's not siloed. And if we're not siloed and we're communicating, we're leveraging our resources, then we can be successful. We are proving to be successful. That's why our broadband initiative has 7 partners and just one, because you're not going to get there alone. You need to be there as a community.
Excellent. Well, we're out of time, John. Where's your guitar?
Well, I just want to, Helen, I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Can't wait to get back on the road again. The life I love is making music with my friends. And I can't wait to get on the road again. On the road again. Going places that I've never been. Seeing things that I may never see again. And I can't wait to get Brownsville again.
Thank you, Helen, for being with us today. I really enjoy your insights and sharing all the things that you're doing. We're very proud of you guys, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. Brownsville appreciates it.
Take care. Tell everybody hello.
Again.
Thank you, Llewelyn. Thank you.